If you're going to heal anything, one of the first things that you need is awareness. Okay, so how do we cultivate awareness? It's simply noticing what's coming up for you, and that can be something that feels like a charge, something that's annoying you, something that has come up and it just keeps bothering you, like it's rubbing against you like a grain of sand inside an oyster shell, and it's just something that you can't let go of, where you're like, gosh, this situation shouldn't be this way, or that person shouldn't be that way. It can usually show up as resistance. But if you're not actively interacting with life and you're not getting out there into the arena and interacting with others, you might not be getting those new pieces of information where life happens to you, and then it's going to show you exactly what your perspective is and how you're seeing things. In our relationships, usually what is showing up on the outside is somewhat indicative of some of the things that we actually have going on inside of us, some of our own dynamics. And this is because of the law of attraction and the law of polarity. So what you might want to do is taking a conscious situation and start working more with the subconscious, with finding out what that situation reminds you of. Because if you go to the polarity of whatever that wound is that you're working with, you'll notice that there's a masculine side and a feminine side. The more masculine or yang side would be a more reactive nature, and the wounded feminine side or yin side would be a more collapsed or repressive nature. And from there, you can find out what end of the pole you're at, or if you swing back and forth between two different extremes. Once you have that awareness, you'll want to have a process so that you can work with that information that's showing up more deeply. Oftentimes, there are things that happen that will trip off aspects of our golden shadow, which is a term that's usually attributed to Freud, but wasn't actually coined by him, which is basically a light aspect of us that we're not able to own, or we think that we can't have or be that, or a shadow aspect, an aspect of self that we're not sure that we'll be okay if it turns out that we have that aspect within us, ways that we don't want to be. So I'm curious how this shows up in your life and what you've noticed personally.